The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the Lincoln High football field. Jamal Carter, clad in his practice gear, moved with an effortless grace as he practiced his drills. Each stride was powerful, each throw precise, and the rhythmic thud of the football against his hands was music to his ears. He envisioned the state championship, the roar of the crowd, and the moment he would hoist the trophy high above his head. This dream fueled his passion, but beneath that fervor simmered a quiet frustration that he couldn't quite shake. "Come on, Jamal, let's see that arm," shouted Andre Thompson, his closest friend and teammate, from the sidelines. Andre leaned against the fence, a bright smile plastered on his face, and his enthusiasm was infectious. With a deep breath, Jamal focused his gaze on the target. He released the ball with a flick of his wrist, sending it soaring through the air before it landed perfectly in Andre's hands. "Nice throw," Andre called back, tossing the football into the air before catching it again. "Thanks, man," Jamal replied, wiping the sweat from his brow. He couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The Lincoln Lions had trained hard all season, and they were on the cusp of something great. But as he watched his teammates laughing and joking, a nagging thought crept into his mind. What if the accolades didn't come his way? He heard the sound of cleats crunching against the gravel as Coach Sarah Mitchell approached, her presence commanding yet warm. "Jamal, you're looking sharp out there," she said, crossing her arms as she leaned against the fence. "The team's counting on you, and I can see you're ready for the challenge." "Thanks, Coach," Jamal said, his heart racing at her praise. "I just want to make sure we bring home that championship." Coach Mitchell nodded, her gaze steady. "And I believe you will. Just remember, football is a team sport. You've got to rely on your teammates just as much as they rely on you." Jamal appreciated her wisdom, but a part of him felt the weight of individual expectations pressing down on him. The upcoming sports awards ceremony loomed large in his mind. He had worked tirelessly, showcasing his talent week after week, and yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he might not be recognized for his efforts. As the team gathered for their meeting later that afternoon, the tension in the air was palpable. Coach Mitchell stood at the front, her eyes scanning the room filled with eager faces. "All right, Lions, I have some exciting news," she began, the energy in the room shifting as the players leaned in closer. "The sports awards ceremony is coming up, and I'm proud to announce that several of you are nominated for various categories." A chorus of cheers erupted, but Jamal felt a knot form in his stomach. He watched as his teammates exchanged excited glances, but he remained quiet, the fear of being overlooked gnawing at him. Coach Mitchell continued, "I want each of you to know how hard you've worked this season. It's not just about individual awards. It's about what we accomplished together as a team." "Coach, do you think Jamal will be nominated?" Andre piped up, his eagerness shining through. Coach Mitchell smiled. "I certainly hope so, Andre. Jamal has been a standout player this season, and he deserves recognition for his contributions." Jamal's heart raced at the mention of his name, but he couldn't shake the feeling of doubt. As the meeting wrapped up, he lingered behind, lost in thought. He admired the trophies displayed in the trophy case, each one a testament to hard work and dedication. But what if he wasn't among the recognized? Later that day, as Jamal walked through the school hallways, he overheard a conversation that made his blood run cold. A group of school officials stood in hushed tones, unaware of his presence as he passed by. "Do you really think Jamal has what it takes?" one of them asked, an edge of skepticism in his voice. "He's a great athlete, sure, but can he lead?" "Honestly, I don't see him as a true candidate for the award," another replied, a hint of disdain creeping into his tone. "It's always a risk to nominate someone like him. There are other players who fit the mold better." Jamal's heart sank at their words. He wanted to confront them, to defend himself, but he felt paralyzed, his mind racing with the weight of their judgment. He turned away, a mixture of anger and sadness boiling within him. The biases were clear, and as he stepped onto the field, the sun setting behind him, he knew he had a fight ahead, not just for the championship, but for recognition and respect. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden hue over the Lincoln Lions football field, Jamal Carter stood frozen, grappling with the depth of his disappointment. The announcement of the nominees for the prestigious State Sports Award had echoed in his ears like a haunting refrain. He had steeled himself for the moment, envisioning his name among the elite athletes. But when the list was read aloud, it felt as if the ground had shifted beneath him. His heart sank, heavy with the weight of snubs and unrecognized talent. "Jamal, are you okay?" Andre Thompson, his closest friend and teammate, approached him cautiously, concern etched on his face. The other players lingered nearby, their expressions a mixture of sympathy and bewilderment. "Yeah, I'm fine," Jamal replied, though his voice betrayed him. It quivered slightly, an echo of the frustration bubbling inside. "Just didn't think it would turn out like this." Andre shook his head, stepping closer. "You know it's a joke, right? Everyone knows you're the best player on this team. This award doesn't define you." Jamal turned to his friend, meeting his gaze. "It's not just about the award, Andre. It's about the principle. I've worked my ass off for this, and they just dismiss me because of who I am. Don't let it get to you, man. We got the championship coming up. That's what really matters," Andre urged, clapping a hand on Jamal's shoulder in solidarity. The other players nodded in agreement, rallying around him. "Yeah, Jamal, we all know you've carried this team on your back," shouted Marcus, a lineman with a booming voice. "Forget those guys. We're here for you." Nodding, Jamal forced a smile. Their support meant the world, but the sting of exclusion lingered. "Thanks, guys. I just wanted to prove that I could stand alongside the best." "Then let's show them what you're made of," Andre said, determination igniting in his eyes. "Tomorrow, we hit the practice field hard. You lead us, and we'll follow." The decision was made then. As the team dispersed, Jamal felt a flicker of resolve ignite within him. He would not let this setback define him. Instead, he would channel his disappointment into something more significant, a fierce drive to lead the Lions to victory in the upcoming championship game. The following day, Jamal arrived at the field before dawn, the chill of the morning air invigorating his senses. He was determined to push not only himself but his teammates to their limits. As the sun rose, casting long shadows across the grass, he gathered the Lions. "Listen up, guys," Jamal began, his voice steady and firm. "This is our time to shine. We've got one shot at the championship, and I want us to give it everything we've got. We're going to train harder than we ever have." The team exchanged glances, a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. "What do you have in mind?" asked Tyler, a wide receiver known for his speed. "Drills, sprints, tackling, everything. I want us to be the best prepared team out there," Jamal declared, his eyes glinting with determination. "If they want to overlook me, fine. But they won't overlook us when we crush them on that field." With a collective cheer, the team dove into the rigorous training regimen Jamal had envisioned. Sprints turned into drills, and drills morphed into grueling exercises that pushed their bodies to the limit. Jamal led by example, his relentless spirit energizing his teammates. They ran until their lungs burned, practiced plays until every movement was second nature, and cheered each other on through injuries and fatigue. As the days passed, Jamal felt the camaraderie among the Lions strengthen. They were no longer just a team. They were a family, united by a shared purpose. The pain of the award snub began to fade, replaced by an overwhelming sense of determination and hope. However, as they prepared for the championship, Jamal stumbled upon something unexpected. While cleaning out his locker, he discovered an envelope tucked beneath his gear. Curious, he pulled it out, noticing the absence of a return address. With trembling hands, he opened it, revealing a letter that sent chills down his spine. The words within were insidious, detailing the reasoning behind his exclusion from the award nominations. Racial biases, veiled justifications, and a clear agenda to uphold a status quo that marginalized him stared back at him. Jamal's heart raced as he absorbed the shocking revelation. This wasn't just about football. It was about something far deeper, a battle against the very prejudices that had haunted him and countless others. "Jamal, what's wrong?" Andre's voice broke through his thoughts, and Jamal looked up, his expression a mixture of disbelief and anger. "I need to show everyone what this really means," he said, determination hardening in his voice. "We're about to change the game, and I'm going to make sure they see who I really am." Jamal paced back and forth in the locker room, frustration simmering just beneath the surface. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glare on the faces of his teammates, who were busy adjusting their gear and discussing strategies for the upcoming championship game. But Jamal's mind was elsewhere, consumed by the sting of being overlooked for the prestigious sports award. He could still hear the whispers of the school officials, their doubts echoing in his ears like a taunting refrain. "Jamal," called Coach Sarah Mitchell, her voice steady yet firm. She approached him, concern etched on her face. "I can see you're upset. We have a big game ahead. You need to channel that anger into your performance." Jamal stopped and fixed Coach Mitchell with a steely gaze. "You don't get it, Coach. This isn't just about the game. It's about what they think of me, what they think of us. It's like they don't even see my hard work, my talent. They just see my skin color." Coach Mitchell's expression softened. "I understand more than you think. But right now, you have to focus on what you can control. You can't change their minds in a moment, but you can change the game. Use that passion, that fire, to lead your team. Show them what you're made of." Jamal took a deep breath, her words resonating within him. He nodded, albeit reluctantly. "You're right. I'll give it everything I got out there." As the clock ticked closer to game time, the tension in the air became palpable. When the players filed onto the field, a wave of adrenaline surged through Jamal. The crowd roared, and he felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. This was his moment to shine, to prove that he was not just a statistic, but a force to be reckoned with. The whistle blew, and the game began. Jamal played with a ferocity that surprised even him. Each tackle, each run, was fueled by a mixture of anger and determination. He could hear Coach Mitchell's voice in his head, urging him to keep pushing, to keep fighting. His teammates rallied around him, feeding off his energy, and together they moved as a cohesive unit, advancing down the field. As the first half progressed, the scoreboard told a different story. The Lincoln Lions were trailing, and Jamal felt the familiar knot of frustration tighten in his stomach. He glanced at the stands, where supporters waved banners and shouted encouragement, but all he could think about was the award ceremony that had come and gone, leaving him empty-handed. During a timeout, Jamal gathered the team around him. He could see the doubt creeping into their eyes, uncertainty gnawing at their confidence. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. "Listen up, Lions," he began, his voice firm but passionate. "I know we're down, but this isn't the end. We've worked too hard to let this slip away. We've trained for this moment, and I refuse to let some award dictate who we are. We are a family, and we fight for each other. Let's show them what we're made of." His words hung in the air, igniting a spark in his teammates' eyes. Andre Thompson, his loyal friend and fellow player, nodded vigorously. "Yeah, we got your back, Jamal. Let's turn this around." The team erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted by Jamal's rallying cry. As they broke from the huddle and prepared to take the field again, Jamal felt a renewed sense of purpose. This game was about more than just winning. It was about standing up against the biases that had tried to hold him back. With the second half looming, Jamal knew they had a steep hill to climb, but he was determined. He would not let the shadows of doubt win. Together, they would fight back, not just for the trophy, but for recognition, respect, and the right to be seen for who they truly were. As they returned to the field, the roar of the crowd filled his ears, and for the first time that day, he felt hope surge within him. They were not just playing for a victory, they were playing for a legacy. As the second half of the championship game unfolded, the atmosphere in the stadium was electric, charged with the hopes of the Lincoln Lions and their supporters. Jamal Carter stood at the line of scrimmage, his heart pounding in rhythm with the thundering cheers from the stands. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, igniting a fierce determination within him. "Let's turn this around, Lions," he shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. His teammates, still reeling from their first half struggles, looked at him with renewed focus. This was it. This was their moment. Coach Sarah Mitchell watched from the sidelines, her eyes locked on Jamal. She had seen him grow from a raw talent into a formidable leader. Now, she needed him to channel all that potential into something extraordinary. "Come on, Jamal. she encouraged, her voice firm yet supportive. Show them what you've got. The whistle blew, and Jamal took a deep breath, scanning the defense before him. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. This was more than just a game. It was a statement, a chance to redefine what it meant to be recognized for his talent. As the ball was snapped, he dodged a defender with a swift move to the left, sprinting downfield. The roar of the crowd faded into a dull hum as he focused solely on the end zone. Go, go, go! Andre Thompson, his loyal teammate, shouted from the sidelines, his voice breaking through the noise. Jamal's legs moved like pistons, propelling him forward. In a flash, he crossed into the end zone, securing a crucial touchdown for the Lions. The stadium erupted in a cacophony of cheers, and Jamal felt the rush of exhilaration wash over him. Yeah, that's how we do it, Andre yelled, running over to give Jamal a hard slap on the back. The Lions were back in the game, and the crowd's energy surged, lifting their spirits. Jamal turned to his teammates, their faces alight with hope. We're not done yet. Let's keep this momentum going. As the fourth quarter rolled in, the tension mounted. The Lions were now neck and neck with their opponents, the score tied, and the clock ticking down. Jamal could feel the collective heartbeat of the crowd, their hopes resting squarely on his shoulders. It was more than just a game. It was a chance to show everyone who he truly was. With just minutes left on the clock, the opposing team executed a strong play, pushing their way down the field. Jamal felt a familiar surge of determination. We need to stop them now, he shouted, rallying his teammates. This is our time. With precision and teamwork, the Lions regrouped, forming a defensive wall. Jamal positioned himself strategically, anticipating the opponent's next move. As the quarterback launched the ball toward the end zone, Jamal leaped, extending his arms in a desperate bid to intercept. Time slowed as he soared through the air, the crowd gasping collectively. His fingers grazed the ball, and in an instinctive motion, he secured it against his chest as he landed hard on the ground. The stadium erupted into a frenzy of cheers and disbelief. Jamal had made the game-winning play. Unbelievable! Coach Mitchell shouted, her face a mask of pride. That's my boy! Jamal rose to his feet, adrenaline still pumping through him, as his teammates swarmed around him in celebration. We did it! We did it! He yelled, overwhelmed by joy and relief. The scoreboard flashed in their favor, and the crowd erupted in cheers, chanting his name. With the game over and the Lions declared champions, Jamal stood at the center of the field, soaking in the jubilation of the moment. He felt a buzz of energy as reporters began pouring onto the field, eager to capture the essence of this thrilling game and the young athlete who had led his team to victory. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a call from a local news station. Jamal Carter, we'd love to interview you about your performance today and your thoughts on the award snub. Can you talk? Jamal's heart raced again, but this time it was not just from the game. It was a chance to shed light on the injustice he had faced, to bring attention to the biases that had attempted to overshadow his talent. With a deep breath, he replied, "Yes, I'd love to." As he walked toward the reporters, he could feel the weight of his journey settling on his shoulders. The celebration of victory intertwined with the urgency of his message. This was just the beginning. He was ready to speak out, to challenge the status quo, and to advocate for change not just for himself, but for every athlete who had ever been overlooked. The roar of the crowd faded as he stepped into the spotlight, ready to make his voice heard. Under the bright lights of the Lincoln Lions gymnasium, Jamal Carter sat at the edge of a makeshift podium, surrounded by the buzz of reporters and cameras. The weight of anticipation hung heavy in the air as the local news station's anchor, a seasoned journalist named Carla Jennings, adjusted her microphone and leaned in closer. Jamal, thank you for joining us today, Carla began, her voice steady yet inviting. You've just led your team to a stunning championship victory, but there's more to your story. Can you share with us how you felt when you were overlooked for the award? Jamal took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts amid the flash of cameras. He could feel the eyes of his teammates and coach Sarah Mitchell on him, their expressions a mix of pride and concern. It was devastating, he said, his voice firm but laced with emotion. I worked hard all season, and when I heard my name wasn't on that list, it felt like a slap in the face. It wasn't just about the award. It was about being recognized for who I am and what I've accomplished despite the biases that have been there all along. A murmur rippled through the audience. Jamal could see the impact of his words, the way they resonated with those who had gathered to listen. Carla nodded, encouraging him to continue. You've revealed that there were conversations questioning your abilities based on your race. Can you elaborate on that? Absolutely, Jamal replied, his voice growing stronger. I overheard school officials discussing the nominees, and it was clear that their doubts weren't about my skills on the field but about my identity. They thought I wasn't worthy of recognition because of stereotypes that have plagued people like me for far too long. It was heartbreaking. As he spoke, his heart raced, not just from the adrenaline of the moment, but from the urgency of his message. This isn't just about me. It's about every athlete who has faced similar prejudice. We need to shine a light on these issues to make it clear that talent and hard work should be the only factors that matter in sports. The room fell silent, the gravity of his words settling in. Carla leaned in closer, her expression shifting to one of genuine admiration. Your bravery in speaking out is inspiring, Jamal. How do you hope to encourage others who might be facing similar challenges? I hope they see that it's okay to speak up, he said, his gaze sweeping across the faces in the crowd, from his teammates to community members who had come to support him. We can't let fear keep us silent. If we want change, we have to demand it. I want everyone to know that our voices matter, and together we can fight against the injustices we face. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound echoing off the gym walls. Jamal felt a surge of energy, a sense of solidarity that reminded him he wasn't alone in this fight. As the interview wrapped up, Carla thanked him for sharing his story and promised to highlight the issue in their upcoming broadcasts. Later, as the cameras faded and the crowd dispersed, Jamal found himself surrounded by his teammates and Coach Mitchell. "You killed it out there, Jamal," Andre Thompson exclaimed, clapping him on the back. "You really got your point across." "Yeah, man, that was powerful," Coach Mitchell added, pride emanating from her voice. "You're not just a great athlete. You're a leader. You're making a difference." Jamal smiled, feeling a sense of warmth wash over him. But he also sensed that this was just the beginning. The media coverage of his interview soon sparked outrage across the community, with many rallying behind him, demanding accountability from the awarding committee and their outdated practices. Days later, an invitation arrived for Jamal to speak at a community rally organized in support of his cause. The envelope felt heavy in his hands, a tangible reminder of the responsibility he now bore. This is it, he thought, realizing that he had the chance to inspire others facing similar struggles. As he prepared for the rally, Jamal reflected on the journey he had taken. He had transformed his pain into purpose, and now he was ready to stand before his community, to share his story and fuel the fire for change. The community rally was buzzing with energy as Jamal stepped onto the makeshift stage, the sun casting a warm glow over the crowd. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, but he also felt a surge of determination coursing through his veins. The chants of Jamal, Jamal, echoed in his ears, a reminder of the support he had garnered through his journey. As he looked out at the sea of faces, he saw hope in their eyes, and that fueled his resolve. "Thank you all for being here today," Jamal began, his voice steady but passionate. "We're not just here to celebrate a victory on the field. We're here to demand change. Change that has been long overdue." The crowd erupted in applause, the energy palpable. He took a deep breath, glancing at the papers clutched tightly in his hand, evidence of the racial bias that had plagued him and others like him. "What I'm about to share with you isn't just about me. It's about every athlete who has been overlooked, dismissed, or judged based on the color of their skin," he continued, feeling the gravity of his words. "I've uncovered documents that reveal the committee's reasoning behind their decisions. They didn't see me as a contender because of their own prejudices." A murmur rippled through the crowd, the tension thickening in the air. Jamal unfolded the papers, revealing their contents to the audience. "These are the notes from a committee meeting where they openly questioned my abilities, not based on my performance, but on the color of my skin," he said, his voice rising with intensity. They said I wasn't the right image for the award. I ask you, what does that even mean? The crowd grew silent, the weight of his revelations settling in. Parents exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of shock and anger. Jamal could see the realization dawning on them, the understanding that this was a systemic issue that reached far beyond the football field. This isn't just about sports. It's about justice. It's about equality, he shouted, igniting a fire in the audience. We must hold those in power accountable for their actions. We deserve to be seen for our talent, our hard work, and our dedication, not for the color of our skin. As he spoke, Jamal noticed a figure in the back of the crowd, a local journalist taking notes, their eyes wide with realization. He knew that the evidence he was sharing would not only shed light on the committee's corruption, but would also spark conversations that needed to happen throughout the community and beyond. The rally gained momentum, the crowd chanting his name once more. Jamal felt a wave of support wash over him, an affirmation that he was not alone in this fight. Together, we can change the narrative. Together, we can demand that our voices be heard, he urged, his heart racing with the conviction of his words. Days later, the fallout from the rally began. The committee members, once untouchable in their positions, were now under investigation. News outlets flooded with reports of their actions, revealing the depth of their biases and the impact it had on young athletes like Jamal. The tide was turning, and for the first time, Jamal felt hope that real change was possible. At a special ceremony held in the wake of the investigation, Jamal stood before a packed auditorium. He had been awarded a special honor recognizing not just his athleticism, but his courage to stand up against injustice. The applause was thunderous, the crowd rising to their feet in a show of solidarity. As he took the podium, Jamal looked out at the audience, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. "This is not just for me," he began, his voice steady. "This is for every athlete who has been denied their moment in the spotlight because of biases that have no place in our community. We must continue to fight for fairness and equality in all aspects of life, especially in sports." He paused, allowing his words to sink in. We are not just athletes. We are leaders, and we have the power to inspire change. Let this be a reminder that our voices matter, that we will not be silenced by prejudice, and that together, we can create a future where talent is recognized and celebrated, regardless of race. As he stepped down from the podium, the applause resonated like a heartbeat, a symbol of hope and resilience. Jamal knew that this was just the beginning of a journey toward a more just and equitable world, and he was ready to lead the way.